Miguel Cotto and Gianluca Branco. You see the 10-year age difference. Cotto on the advantageous end of that. He's also 2 inches taller than Branco. The arm length advantage, 1.5 inches, belongs to Branco as measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in at 140 pounds. We have no unofficial weights tonight as they come into the ring. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Miguel Cotto Gianluca Branco fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. The case of cut is caused by an accidental headbutt. We go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Harold. And here's a look at Gianluca Branco and his dramatic Italian film star style face. 4 wins, all by knockout, since the only loss of his career against Arturo Gatti in Atlantic City. And he gave a very good account of himself in that fight, Larry.
And said that that fight was defining for him, defining him in a way, he said, that showed that he could fight on a high international level. And he has had those 4 straight TKOs. And having mentioned Gatti, I should also point out, Jim, that if Gatti beats Baldomir for the welterweight title in July, they're now talking about fighting Cotto if he's won his next 2 fights at that time.
That would be Carlos Baldomir of Argentina, the upset winner over Zab Judah a couple of months ago that made him the welterweight champion. Emmanuel Stewart, some people think that Branco's stand-up European style makes him a target for Cotto's biggest weapon, his left hook to the body.
Well, he is to some degree, but he set up to the good left hooks also from Arturo Gatti. I think he's a much better fighter than a lot of people give him credit for, but I just don't think he has the physical power or strength to deal with a puncher that punches so hard and accurate as Cotto.
And now the crowd goes berserk here in Puerto Rico as Miguel Cotto prepares to enter the ring. Last time in the ring against Ricardo Torres, an opponent he did not expect to be facing that night because the original date had been with Branco. Branco was knocked out of the fight by a hand injury. Torres came in and exhibited faster hands than Cotto. Cotto was able to right himself and use his sledgehammer left hook to the body to ultimately chop Torres down. A very relaxed young man in and out of the ring, Larry.
You know, and he says the right thing, as Emmanuel indicated, that the important thing is what you do after you get hurt. That counts.
Knockouts in his last 6 appearances. Miguel Cotto, a rising star at 140 pounds, trying to polish his credentials for potential future fights with the likes of Floyd Mayweather Jr., Ricky Hatton, Arturo Gatti, and other big names in or near his weight class. Now let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Damas y caballeros, buenas noches y bienvenidos al Coliseo Rubén Rodríguez, aquí en Bayamón, Puerto Rico. Esta noche, Paul Barra, mi Top Rank Incorporated, y Budweiser presenta 12 asaltos por el Campeonato Mundial Welter Junior de la OMB. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBO Junior Welterweight Championship of the World. La Comisión de Boxeo de Puerto Rico, el presidente José Peña Carricano. El presidente de la OMB, Francisco Paco Barcarcel. Ringside, el honorable alcalde de Bayamón, Ramón Luis Rivera. Las 3 jueces, the 3 judges, Hugo Peniche, Jose Roberto Torres, and Steve Weisfeld. And for the 56th time in a World Championship contest, referee Luis Pabon. Y ahora aquí en Bayamón, Puerto Rico, damas y caballeros, boricuas, let's get ready to rumble! En la esquina azul, in the blue corner, wearing green, white, and red, official weight, 140 pounds, an outstanding professional record, 36 victories, including 19 knockouts, only 1 defeat and 1 draw. From Civitavecchia, Italia, the WBC #1 contender, the challenger, El Retador, Gianluca Silver Horse Branco. En la esquina roja in the red corner, wearing white, official weight 140 pounds. Record profesional perfecto, a perfect professional record consisting of 25 bouts, 25 victories with 21 knockouts. De Caguas, Puerto Rico, the undefeated WBO light welterweight champion of the world, el campeón del mundo, el invicto, Miguel Cotto.
Salvatore, Oli 3. Vamos. Vamos abajo, vamos. Viene. Viene, Salvatore. Hey. Gianluca. Mala mano. Bueno, jóvenes, ya yo les di las instrucciones en el camerino. Vamos a hacer una pelea limpia y que gane el mejor. Suerte, que Dios los bendiga.
In a fight-mad country where newspapers routinely devote a full page to boxing, this crowd has been in an uproar through half a dozen preliminaries for 3 hours. How much do they have left?
If you think it's raucous now, it was like this 3 hours ago.
Yeah, but they have had some good fights also, too.
And they've had great fun yelling at the announcers to get us into the right frame of mind. Round 1 begins. Miguel Cotto with only 1 first-round knockout in his career. Branco, a good professional fighter who cannot be expected to be an easy victim here. Last appearance in this arena, Cotto was rocked in the 3rd round by DeMarcus Corley, but came back to knock him out in the 5th.
Cotto looks physically much stronger.
Well, in part, Emmanuel, that may be due to the fact that he trained for a month in Florida and made the weight easily.
And probably have eaten very good in the last 24 hours, too.
First time in his career that he has gone away from home to train. Previously, he has always trained in his hometown of Caguas, Puerto Rico, and perhaps it was a response to the apparent absence of focus he seemed to show sometimes in the Torres fight, when he agreed to trade punches with a guy who had faster hands on at least 2 or 3 occasions.
And, you know, he's become such a big hero right here in this country since Tito Trinidad, so it's very hard for him to really train and focus and concentrate in this country here.
There's his money punch, the left hook to the body, and you heard the crowd respond to it. Knowledgeable boxing crowd here. They know what to look for from Cotto at his best. That's the sledgehammer left hook to the body.
Also, you can see he's fighting in a more measured tone.
Saying to us yesterday that he's learned his lesson and he realizes he's still more of a boxer than a puncher, needs to box to set up his big stuff.
And also, if he gets a fighter hurt, to systematically break him down instead of going into some kind of crazed brawling style where he leaves himself open.
Cotto's having a very good first round here against a Gianluca Branco who seems to feel tight, seems to feel as though he's unable to get off.
And I respect Cotto is not opening up. He's trying to let things happen naturally. He's not trying to force a situation. He's boxing very relaxed. He hasn't shot any power shots yet because he sees that Branco is covering up and on the defense right now.
Just want to set up one thing in advance. We have a great treat in our interpreter ranks this evening. When we go to Cotto's corner where they speak Spanish, our interpreter is Jerry Alaya, who's done a tremendous job for us on several occasions. When we go to Branco's corner, where they will speak Italian, the interpreter will be Paulie Malignaggi.
rising contender at 140 pounds, who is here hoping that he fights Miguel Cotto next, June 10 in Madison Square Garden. So to hear Malignaggi interpreting in Branco's corner should be a lot of fun, given that he hopes to get hold of the guy Branco's fighting in his very next fight. Branco has had difficulty getting off and landing in the first round. Miguel Cotto is taking his time and landing body shots.
For the most part, Branco has not been able to establish anything other than his jab.
Crowd likes it. We'll hear from Jerry Olaya first in Cotto's corner.
Good, breathe deeply. All right. Use your jab a little bit more so you get loose a little bit more.
Go ahead. Pure se sei coperto.
Even if you're covered,
Muoviti con quel sinistro.
move that left hand. When you cover up, use the left hand to come back.
This is Paulie Malignaggi translating here.
I'm good. I'm fine. How was that round? It was good. It was good. Good round. Move that left hand.
Branco's wife has a PhD in economics, and he and his brother, his older brother, a light heavyweight, have made a very good living at boxing, primarily in Italy.
And the fellas at CompuBox, who have PhDs in counting punches, found one punch that Branco landed in the first round. 1 out of 38. Cotto 11 out of 54. Workmanlike round as he sledgehammered to the body mostly against Branco's tight guard.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned Branco's background with his family, all of them in boxing. That's what's interesting. Cotto and Branco both have backgrounds where their brothers, uncles, and everyone just about was boxing. So they've been raised in family of nothing but boxing people.
Yeah, well, Cotto's brother, Jose, is an undefeated lightweight, and he's going to be fighting for a piece of the title soon against Juan Diaz.
Jose Cotto is 27-0. Miguel Cotto is 25-0. Both of them trained by their uncle Evangelista Cotto, who was never a fighter.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Very, very rare.
One in the family that didn't fight, and he's the trainer.
Sometimes the guy who was never a fighter has a good perspective as a trainer.
Well, evidently it's worked in his case.
Is Cotto being a little too patient here? This is the right pace.
I think it's the right pace. It just, to me, it seems to be physically so much stronger. And looking at Branco's facial expressions, I think he's developed a lot of respect, maybe even fear, for the just plain strength and power of Cotto.
Question is, can the crowd, with their excitement, hype Cotto into getting outside of his envelope and fighting the way he shouldn't fight by being more aggressive and trading punches? Cotto's at his best when he stays within his boxing form and waits his turn.
I think he's going to fight a very intelligent fight based on the experiences he's had in recent fights where he's been hurt so much. I think he's going to fight a controlled fight tonight.
So far, thoroughly under control. So far, pounding away at a Branco who cannot find an avenue to open his own offense quite yet. Incidentally, earlier this evening in Manchester, England, Wales' Joe Calzaghe with an easy unanimous decision over Jeff Lacey to become the undisputed kingpin of the 168-pound weight class. A very disappointing performance by Jeff Lacey of Tampa, Florida.
And also,
Branco gets in a left hook there and lands another left hook, trying to back Cotto off as he is pinned against the ropes. Cotto with his own left hook upstairs shook Branco with a solid shot.
One thing I would say about both fighters, their punches are short and accurate punches. So if either one throws a wild punch, he may get caught.
Perfect shot by Cotto on the
punches coming from both guys are very short pinpoint punches.
Nodded. So Cotto's already on a short leash for low blows.
Branco's trunks look like the hood of a Formula racing car.
Expensive trunks.
Another result just in. North Carolina beats Duke.
And one Manuel Marquez lost to a fighter named St. John in Indonesia.
You gotta measure him. You gotta get the measurement on him. Get set the distance. You have to move your hands.
The best punch so far by Marquez. Landed a little high on the forehead.
You mean by Cotto?
Cotto, excuse me.
Power shots in round 2. Copy box finding Cotto landing 13 out of 43. Branco 7 out of 16. Harold Letterman gives the first 2 rounds to Miguel Cotto in what has so far been a measured but powerful boxing performance. Good right hand over the top by Branco.
Yeah, Branco's got very fast hands. Maybe not the most power, but extremely fast.
You can see Branco bunching his elbows to try to guard against Cotto's hooks to the body. Good left hook to the body there by Cotto. Branco can't block everything. Cotto trying to find the openings in Branco's guard, and finally Gianluca Branco answers back with a couple of punches of his own.
But Branco better be very careful in throwing his own left hook, that he don't get caught in a left hook exchange. Because Cotto is a much stronger power punch with his left hook.
Gianluca Branco told us that he thought Arturo Gatti, whom he fought in Atlantic City 2 years ago, was a better boxer than Miguel Cotto. He could have been whistling in the dark with that. Cotto worried for a second that he had thrown the second low blow and would be penalized, but the referee said, no, you're not in trouble yet. Go right back to it. Branco sticking his jab, but trying to get back into his defensive envelope as rapidly as possible. Therefore, not committing to his punches, just popping and pulling back. Cotto punching through the target and hitting much harder.
Cotto's fighting a beautiful fight. Working, mixing up his punch, jabs to the head, right to the head, punches to the body, both sides, right side, left side to the body, and then he gets right back with the jab again.
And now Branco conscious enough of the body that Cotto seems to begin to land at will upstairs.
Wraps it up. Good combination. If Branco doesn't start fighting back, he's going to find himself in trouble, because sooner or later, playing the numbers game, Cotto's going to land a big shot.
I was very impressed in that exchange on how Branco, after taking a big shot, immediately came back with his own right. He just doesn't have the strength that Cotto has, but he is a true professional fighter.
Cotto getting some chances upstairs there and landed a big hook to end the round. Crowd on its feet and roaring as the first 3 rounds have belonged to Miguel Cotto against the very professional Gianluca Branco.
Go side to side, do the double hold. He's covering himself. Go in, double the pressure, double the pressure. Where's the towel?
You need to move that left hand.
Here you watch that exchange with a left hook. Again, a little high. Branco is covered well and comes back with a big straight right hand.
Round 4 of a scheduled 12. Harold, how do you have it through the first 3?
Okay, Jim. 3-0, 30-27, Miguel Cotto. You know, Jim, Gianluca Branco is just fighting Cotto's fight. He's standing right in front of him, and it's almost impossible to fight a power puncher like that and stand right in front of him and not move your head. Cotto just digging that hook under Branco's right elbow, around it, to the body, and then he comes up top with the right hand. 3-0 Cotto.
So at this moment, part of the drama becomes Branco, a pure boxer, has never been knocked out in 37 fights. Gaddy couldn't knock him out, although he managed to land.
Okay, mírame, okay?
But, you know, but he cannot afford to let Cotto keep punching like that because Cotto is a big puncher and an accurate puncher. You have a guy that's maybe a wild puncher, he's missing about 60%, so you maybe let him do that. But Cotto's connect percentage is extremely high and powerful, so sooner or later, he's going to have to land something. And Branco's, you know, he cannot keep fighting his way this year. He's going to have to start doing something to get Cotto off of him.
That would require releasing his hands more, Manny, and he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to take the counter shots in return.
Jim, you're absolutely right. And that's why it's going to be a rough 12 rounds for him to go because he's going to have to start punching sooner or later, therefore leaving himself open to get caught also. He's not going to win this by being safety and back and just throwing a flickering jab out every once in a while.
I think he's trying to throw the hardest punches he can. He just doesn't have any power.
Which makes it a waiting game to see if Cotto can knock him out. Because unless he can do something different than what we've seen so far, Gianluca Branco isn't going to win the fight.
You'll notice Cotto's now discovered another route to come up between the gloves and the center, in addition to punches to the body and right hand. So he's doing so many different things.
Straight right hand to the body by Cotto. Looks to land the left hook, doesn't get a chance. Branco backing straight away. Cotto pops him with the jab. Branco backs into the ropes, lands a couple of shots to get Cotto off of it. Branco tries to cover up. Cotto uppercutting right through the middle of the guard. Now the left hook upstairs, left hook to the body. Branco with one left hook shot to move Cotto back. Perfect jab by Cotto.
Nice right hand by Branco.
As Cotto walked right into the right hand. But by this point, Cotto understands that he can take Branco's best shot, and he's willing to do so.
He's going to have to fight like that, either start moving and boxing, and being that he's not moving, he's going to have to start fighting.
Watch the low blows, ref. Much better round. Now you're starting to land some shots. Much better. Now you're starting to get the precision on him. Put the ice behind his head.
Breathe deeply, breathe deeply. Breathe deeply. Again.
CompuBox numbers through round 4. Cotto averaging 20 landed punches out of 63 attempted in every round. That's a very high 39% connect percentage, and it will rise as the fight goes on if he follows his typical pattern. Branco landing 8 out of 55 punches per round. A reasonable and sufficient output, not a high enough connect percentage, and he's not getting any damage done with the punches that he does land.
Usually if you're going to be a boxer, you box by moving around the ring, using your footwork, working your jab. Either you're one of those guys who can roll and slip and bob and weave, upper body movement. That's the way you outbox a guy, one of those two. But Branco is just merely trying to stand in one spot and just cover up his hands. And Cotto's been able to anticipate the position of his hands and attacking him from different angles.
Branco has very operatic responses to some of these borderline incidents in the ring, including a minor headbutt and some borderline punches.
Branco seems to be searching in his hair for blood and hasn't yet found any blood to show to referee Luis Pabon. Now I'm told that there may be blood inside the hairline from the apparent accidental headbutt, or maybe Branco thought it was an intentional headbutt. But the bottom line is, while Branco's looking for blood in his hair, Cotto's going back to work with his body punches.
You know, a lot of those body punches are landing on the arms.
Here's a hard right hand by Branco.
And I imagine that Branco's arms are starting to feel a little bit from those, from catching those shots.
And also his protective cup that he's wearing is extremely high, too. It's way above the navel. So punches which are borderline on the cup really are not low blows in his case.
He's stepping up a little bit. He's starting to move forward, and we can see that that Cotto is inching backward. It's in and out. Now Cotto on the attack again.
Yeah, I think Branco needs to move forward. That's the only thing he can do because he can't win the way he's going. And actually, he's got such fast hands that if he starts going forward and opening up a little bit more, Cotto may have to start watching out and being careful.
Now, when they fight from distance, you can see Branco's hand speed and skill as he manages to block Cotto's punches with his gloves and answer.
What are you seeing, Emmanuel, that tells you about Cotto when he fights a real fast-handed fighter?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, he's fighting a very intelligent fighter. Not just the speed, but this is probably one of the fastest guys that he's fought, and he realizes it. So he's accepting the fact that I think Branco is faster than he is. He's just working his steady, working on the ship-like job.
Not as fast as Ricardo Torres, who had blinding speed.
And power.
The guy from Colombia who came close to knocking Cotto out last September in Atlantic City.
Branco is landing some pretty good punches in here. This is his best round, even if he doesn't win it.
All right, let's take a look at the headbutt about which Branco was complaining and from which he may indeed have some blood under the hairline. Boom. Certainly wasn't intentional, and I'm not sure that it hurt Branco any more than it hurt Cotto.
No.
Got hit right on the forehead. Now there's the blood.
Let's go. A little bit at a time. You're coming back. That's it. Let's go. Let's go. You have nothing. Don't worry. It's nothing. Some Vaseline. How am I doing? Much better. Much better. Much better.
Branco, who looks a little like Jean-Paul Belmondo, has appeared in some Italian movies and hopes to preserve an acting career in the future. Obviously, that dramatic nose will be a big part of his on-screen persona, and he may want to keep it polished up here. Power shots in round 5. Branco landed just as many as Cotto, 9 out of 26, as opposed to Cotto's 9 out of 33. So it was definitely Branco's best round, and now they come to the 6th. Cotto content to slow the pace here.
Yeah, well, he's got to. But I think also he's realizing that Branco's got fast hands, and he's got to be a little bit careful. Just right there. If he didn't have his right hand up into the change, he could have got caught with a left hook at that time.
This is why it's good for Cotto not to go all out trading punches. He's far more efficient when he stays back in boxes, waits for his opportunity to get to the body, and then hammers with the left hook as he did there.
Yeah, he's becoming a very good seasoned professional fighter. Fighting very intelligent fight.
Branco popping Cotto with a little right hand. Branco missing over the top there as Cotto looks for another chance to bang him to the body. Good uppercut by Miguel Cotto. Ringside request. First question of the night. Emmanuel, if and when Miguel Cotto moves up to welterweight, which fighter provides the best matchup? Floyd Mayweather, Zab Judah, or Ricky Hatton?
Beyond a doubt, Ricky Hatton.
Oh, yeah. I want to see it right now.
Yes. Two guys who fight with their heads bent forward, explosive. Nothing but power punches coming from that.
Ricky Hatton is an all-action fighter who fights physical wars. Anytime you got a chance to see him, you want to see it.
Mouse rising under the right eye of Branco.
Branco told us he's never been cut by a punch in a fight, never had a cut that actually bothered him in a fight. And of course, as we pointed out before, he's never been knocked out. The only loss of his career was by decision to Arturo Gatti. Punches in a row, but then got clocked with a big left hook. Big right hand by Branco. Cotto walks right through it, though. This time he's not hurt by the big punch.
Breathe deeply now. Again, breathe deeply. Want some water?
Tómala un poquito el agua. Úsame los hombros. Claro, sí, hay que montar los hombros al final.
Son líquidos.
No, non sei livi, non sei livi.
Am I behind? No, you're not behind. You're doing all right.
Non sei livi.
Questa cosa amara. Amara sta cosa.
There you see Cotto's left. And now watch this simultaneous punches.
Yeah, Cotto's attacking him all between the gloves, around the ribs, over top of the gloves.
You approve of that little white lie they told Branco in the corner, Emmanuel, that you're doing good, you're performing well.
It really bothers me a lot, Larry. It's the one thing at the end of every round, I always tell my fighter what the score is. It's very important.
Round 7 of a scheduled 12. Harold, how do you have it
Okay,
scored?
Jim, 6 rounds to nothing, 60-54, Miguel Cotto. Jim, I tell you something. It really bothers me to see Branco, a guy with a good jaw and a big heart, standing in front of Cotto like that. Because, I mean, it's like they were a sledgehammer. Cotto just walking through him, hammering with the much harder shots, and Branco just can't come back and hit him hard enough to get him off. 6-0, Cotto.
So in the round in which Branco landed equally, the 4th, Harold Letterman airs in favor of Cotto's harder punches, and that makes Cotto a whitewash winner so far on Letterman's card.
I charitably gave the last round to Branco, maybe because he did better than previous rounds. And I don't join in this criticism of Branco for not moving more. He's fighting the way he's fought for 10 years. He's lost 1 fight in the 10 years. He's not going to change his style. If he fought in a different style, then maybe he wouldn't even be here.
However, it looks like perhaps his right jaw is broken, or at least it is beginning to swell precipitously. There's a huge swelling under Branco's right eye. His right jaw looks to me to be broken. I don't see how he can last 5 more rounds in the fight.
Yeah, well, his lips look like they're almost busted up. He is taking a beating.
Taking a tremendous beating on the right side of his face and body because of Miguel Cotto's left hook.
Seems like the mental attitude of Cotto is, I'm bigger, I'm stronger than you, and I don't even respect you that much. Even when he gets hit, he just keeps coming right on in, just as relaxed, as if none of the punches coming from Branco is hurting him or bothering him at all.
Branco has a tattoo of Che Guevara, the revolutionary, on his right arm, and he's going to need a revolution to turn this fight around.
Branco is brave, but he is being battered in Bayamon by Miguel Cotto. Battered by a relentless left hook assault on the part of the Puerto Rican fighter. Tuesday at 10 p.m. catch the next Real Force Among the stories, a profile on Billy Packer, the candid and often controversial college basketball commentator, gets set to cover his 32nd consecutive NCAA tournament. Former Wake Forest All-America guard is a highly outspoken figure.
He's hurting. Finish him off. He's hurting. Get him some water.
Cotto wanted to systematically break down his opponent, and he is doing it here.
And you know what? Looking at Branco's face over there and watching him, he looks like thinking about quitting is not too far out of his mind. It would not surprise me to see him quit.
I strongly believe his jaw is broken. Through 7, total punches average per round. Cotto 18 out of 59, Branco 7 out of 56. So Branco's only landing at a 14% connect rate. Larry Merchant, ringside request. In your opinion, who is the greatest Puerto Rican fighter of all time?
Whoa. I don't know. There have been so many of them. I was a big fan of Jose Torres, the light heavyweight champion. I think that Trinidad is probably the most sensational international star who ever came out of Puerto Rico. Benitez was a fabulous boxer. And this looks like the end of the fight right here.
Branco is holding his right shoulder.
Even though he was located in New York.
I agree with you. Carlos Ortiz is one of my favorite fighters. But he's
Gianluca Branco, never before knocked out, is destroyed physically by Miguel Cotto in this fight. Cotto breaking Branco down as though he was demolishing a building here, Emmanuel.
Yes, I don't know whether his shoulders, right shoulder, was from just blocking those powerful left hooks or whatever it was, but he systematically just overpowered and broken into.
And if you look at Branco's face, you see the enormous swelling under his eye. You see the lump on his jaw. I believe that jaw is broken on the right side. A tremendous, dominant left hook performance by Miguel Cotto. Let's take a look now at how the fight ended while we were having our discussion of great Puerto Rican fighters. Cotto just continuing to go back to the well, doing what he had done throughout the fight, hitting Branco hard on the shoulder with the left hook, and Branco, who may have been looking for an out.
I could see it at the end of the previous round. I saw him over there, looked like he was telling him, I want to quit. It just, everything was going wrong, and man was just too powerful for him.
A very calm, measured performance from Cotto, who showed extreme professionalism from start to finish here.
I was very impressed tonight. A very, very good professional performance tonight.
Going to be a rough night for Branco. Going to be a long ride back to Civitavecchia, Italy. Brilliant career in Europe. 2 trips to the United States. Losses to Arturo Gatti. And now the first knockout loss of his career to Miguel Cotto.
The only 2 losses of his career has been over here in the United States. 2 world champion boxers.
And for Cotto, none of the nervous moments which attended his knockout victories over Ricardo Torres and DeMarcus Corley last year. He did get caught flush with a few big shots from Branco, but as predicted, they weren't big enough to bother Miguel. Let's take a look at what happened in round 7, where Branco, for the first time, appeared to realize that his right shoulder was injured. I had seen him shaking his arm several times earlier in the bout. Cotto just kept pounding away at that side of the body.
Yeah, I think Cotto was just beating him all over the body on both sides, everywhere. Just physically too powerful. It's like a man about 2 divisions heavier beating on a smaller guy. And eventually just broke his body down.
Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particulars on the TKO.
Damas y caballeros, ladies and gentlemen, referee Luis Pabon calls a halt to the contest. 49 seconds, round number 8. The winner by TKO victory, el invicto de Jaguas, Puerto Rico, Miguel
Cotto moves his record to 26 wins, no losses, no draws. Continues to close in on big money fights with name opponents like Floyd Mayweather Jr. like Ricky Hatton, like Zab Judah if he happens to upend Mayweather on April 8th, like maybe Carlos Valdemir, the welterweight champion. Total punches landed, Cotto, 83 more landed punches, 26 more thrown. As Emmanuel Stewart told you throughout the fight, Cotto lands at an unusually high percentage. The overall connect percentage here of 32% will no doubt go higher when you look at power punches. Generally speaking, in the power punch category, Cotto lands often as much as 40%. Tonight against a good defensive fighter, only 33%. But the bottom line is enough of them got through to do the damage, and even those which didn't find the target were still hitting Branco on the elbow, on the shoulder, and good enough to help move the enterprise along. At the end of the day, an easy win for Miguel Cotto, the first knockout loss for Gianluca Branco, and Larry Merchant stands by with Miguel.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations. Miguel, is this the crystallized style that we are now going to see you in future fights? A patient, stalking style, trying to break down opponents systematically?
I think I looks better than September 24, and I try to do this in every fight.
So this is how you're going to approach every fighter from now on. And the one thing we haven't seen is that when you hurt a fighter badly, you're not going to get reckless anymore. Is that the goal?
No, I try to put pressure, but not a lot. I try to let me tire.
Are you anxious, eager to finally get the big fight that defines who you are as a fighter?
No, my job is train and fight. Bob is my promoter. My uncle is my manager. They know when they put me with Mayweather, with Hatton, with every fighters at the level.
Do you think, as far as your education as a professional fighter, now fighting a boxer, maybe next time fighting a different kind of boxer, will that complete the education so that when you get the opportunity to fight a big name fighter, you will be able to cope with that?
No, bueno, entiendo que sí, entiendo que.
I understand that to be the case.
Entiendo que este tipo de pelea, Todd y Bob y Bruce han hecho un gran trabajo. Han hecho un gran trabajo.
Bob, Bruce have done a great.
Me han puesto pues oponentes de nivel superior a medida van avanzando las peleas. Y entiendo que todos van a tener pues su resultado al momento de enfrentarme en esa grande pelea.
They will all have the positive results as we move on.
Compare your feeling now to the feeling after the Torres fight, which was a war in which you got up and you had to show your heart. What is the feeling like now?
It's the same. Win is a win. But you mentioned that the fight with Torres was a war, and this is a must boxing fight. And I think win is a win. I'm happy with both wins.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again, Miguel. And these final words, just a quick thought on the education of a great young fighter. It's hard work to make a champion, but sometimes when you're trying to make a star, it can be guesswork. And now I just want to tell you a little boxing story. On the plane coming down to San Juan, big strapping kid, tattoos all over, approaches me, tells me he has come back from 2 years in Iraq, came back to a traumatic divorce, became a drinker, couldn't get his legs back, so to speak, until someone took him to a gym and tried to make a fighter out of him. And now he is an amateur fighter. That day he said he had run 4 miles.